Hi students, what I am going to do right now is talk about the first exam. I guess I'll start with the quiz statistics showing you kind of how the grades fell. And it's taken a second. So you can see here that the grades ranged a lot. If you've ever taken statistics before, a standard deviation of 20 points. So on average, the grades were spread out by 20 points. That's a lot. The high score was a 96%. Average score was 70%. The 70% is lower than what the median would be because there are some pretty low grades, unfortunately. So you can see these grades that were 50% and below. You can also see this nice cluster of grades up here that are B's and A's, which are nice to see. So am I really unhappy with the grades? No. Overall, I'm okay with it. However, I want everybody to be doing better. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of give you an idea. If you missed questions, you didn't do well, or even if you got a 90 and you'd rather get 100, give you an idea of how you should be preparing for the exams. And so I'm going to do that by actually going into the exam. Let me see if I can get in here. The back arrow. Okay, so I'm just going to take a look at some of the questions that were missed, that just, I don't know, absolutely shouldn't have been missed. Okay, so the first one would be the questions about George and his friends and the pencils. So the first one is asking about an exercise. And the second one is saying, hey, it's a problem. Okay, so I'm going to show you, on the study guide what it said. So up here, it's reminding you that you need to know the difference between an exercise and a problem. It also said this: you may have gotten the discussion prompt wrong, so look to see who was pointed out as being correct. So in each discussion prompt, and there was an identical problem here. It was about division. I don't think it was pencils, but it was something, it was money. So it was really similar. So in each one of those discussion groups, I made sure that exact answers were pointed out. Here's what it means to be an exercise. Here's what it means to be a problem. So if you didn't get those right, and you didn't go back and look in the discussion forum at problems that were exactly the same, that would be something you'd want to do. You want to make sure that you are reading the study guide and doing what it tells you to do to be prepared for the questions. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the quiz here. I'm not going to do every problem. I don't want to do that. I'm going to skip through these guys. Though I will tell you on this one that's about to go away, disproving a conjecture in the simplest way possible. Again, on the study guide, let's see where I can find that. It tells you how many counterexamples does it take to disprove something. It's telling you, hey, you need to use a counterexample. And so if you were preparing for the exam and you weren't sure what a counterexample was, then you definitely should have figured that out before you started the exam. Because once you start the exam, it's going to be too late, okay? This is some more. I'm going to skip over those. Oh, it might not be the fastest way for me to do this. These problems in terms of the explicit and implicit, they were covered really, really heavily in that, the practice paper that was in the module in terms of getting ready for the exam. So if you did not do that practice sheet with the screencasts, that could have saved you a lot of points on those problems. Okay, same with that one. There was one really similar to that in the same screencast. Same with this one. You can see those are 4 points each. So just having going through that would have helped. This one's interesting. This came right off of a PowerPoint. And actually on the study guide, it told you, let's see if I can find this. Classify something as either inductive or deductive reasoning. It tells you to look at the diagram of layered circles. So we had a PowerPoint. It tells you it was in Module 2. You should have been looking for the layered circles and had that out in front of you. You know, with an online class, I can't prevent you from using notes. I don't want to prevent you from using notes, so use all of your resources the best way you possibly can. Again, these came from the exact same PowerPoint. So the words focus and coherence and so forth, they were right in that PowerPoint. So if you didn't have that PowerPoint out and ready to go for the exam, you could have missed these questions and not wanted to miss them. And again, if you go back to that study guide, it tells you what question 13 is going to be about and where to look for it. Okay, so make sure you are preparing in the best way possible for these exams. Okay. This again, deductive reasoning, that is from a PowerPoint. It's straight off the PowerPoint, that statement. The teaching through problem solving also comes off of the problem solving PowerPoint. This question, conjectures act as a bridge from explicit to implicit knowledge. There's a long assignment. It was worth 36 points, and it was about conjectures and implicit knowledge and explicit knowledge. And if you missed any questions on that, then you would have wanted to make sure that you read the comments I made when grading, because I made sure, if you missed it, to tell you this in the comments. So this question really, either you knew it based on the assignment you turned in, you had it when you turned in the assignment, or you got it wrong when you turned in the assignment, and I made sure to point that out to you. Okay, so even in where it says question 17, okay, it's telling you 17, 18, 19, and 20. Those are all from, it's saying especially the reasoning. Check to see if you got answers wrong on that long assignment. If you did, I will give you the correct answer. Okay. Again, just make sure you're using this study guide to your best efforts, okay? I'm going to flip through the rest of these guys. All of these would have the same statement as I already made. Okay, this one I want to show you. So many people missed this. This was in the reading. Okay, so there was a problem really similar to this. It was in the reading in the textbook. And so if you had looked up in the textbook to prepare for it about solving a simpler problem, you would have seen the strategy 6, solve a simpler problem. And then you notice here, this is kind of similar. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it is adding numbers, right? And it's a large number of numbers. So actually doing the problem straight out would be difficult. And so it tells you what it means to solve a simpler problem. It tells you to do like 1/2, and then 1/2 plus 1/4, and then 1/2 plus 1/4 plus 1/8, and then 1/2, 4th, 8, 16ths, and so on. And then to find a pattern in that. Okay, so you can see on the exam it's really similar. So what I was looking for was, hey, do 1 plus 3 and get 4, and do 1 plus 3 plus 5 and get 9, and 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 and get 16, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's what I was looking for on that one. This was a problem that was part of the problem set that you did, so the problems you actually did that were in that 30-point assignment. There was one just like that. Also, there was one in the problem set like this one. And actually, I'm going to back up on that for a second, because I just kind of want to point out, on this one, if all else fails, there is not that many terms in that sequence. You could have gone by brute force, you know, and actually listed them out. You had 2 hours. It's a pretty significant amount of time. Okay, so if you tried to take a shortcut on that and you weren't positive it was going to work, maybe brute force would have been better, especially for 4 points. Okay, this one, the ones digit for 8 to the 33rd power. Again, back to the textbook. So this was the reading, and let's see if I can find this pretty quickly. Yep, here it is. So as part of the reading, they asked you to find the ones digit in 3 to the 99th power. And so it told you how to do it. You do 3 to the first, and 3 to the second, and 3 to the third, and so on. And you start seeing this pattern, 3971, 3971, and so on. And so you should have, on this one, done the same thing. 8 to the first, 8 to the second, 8 to the third. And you would figure out a pattern that's not too hard to apply up to the 33rd. Okay? So again, I'm not trying to be harsh and say, hey, I cannot believe you guys missed this. I'm not trying to do that, but I am trying to make sure that if you didn't prepare the way you should have, that I'm motivating you, helping you to know how to prepare for the next exam. Okay? This one was probably more difficult. If you were going to lose points, this would be a place to lose it. Okay? Because you did have to be able to apply problem solving to this. You had to, this involved critical thinking. We did lots of practice to get ready for it, but if you were going to miss points, here's where I'd say miss your points, Same with this one, tough problem, okay? This question, it was really well done. So most people realize 2 even numbers, you're not going to multiply them and get an odd number. So that was pretty quick. Wasn't a problem. This is just more recursion and explicit formulas. So again, that practice sheet that was in the module that was getting you ready for the exam. Okay, these, I was a little frustrated with this. So this was 4 points, okay, that if you had gone, let's see, question 29 and 31, it tells you, know the difference between a Common Core content standard and mathematical practice standard. It tells you exactly where to look at that. There's a PowerPoint that had examples. And so some people missed 4 points on that. And I just feel like you could have not missed the points on that. Okay. Okay, and then 31 and 32 were probably the second most frustrating things for me to grade when people miss them. And the reason is, so these are just saying, hey, how do you write an odd number? How do you write even numbers and consecutive numbers? And so I want to show you, let me go into modules. And so this was the last module before the exam. And on this content page, here's a document, Primer on Proofs and Consecutive Numbers. And right here, if you got through the page, and I know they're long, I know they're not exciting, but you're taking an online class, so you've got to take the time to do these things. It tells you exactly how to write an even number, exactly how to write odd numbers. Okay, so, and then some people doing their proofs, I could tell hadn't looked at it. So when I graded the proofs, I said, hey, I don't think you've looked at this document. You need to look at this document. Right? So I am about out of time, but I want to make sure that you understand the message here, which is, hey, I want you to do well. Think about what you did or didn't do to prepare for this one, okay? And, hopefully that will help you to do better. And if you made it through the end of this screencast, send me an email that says, I don't know, happy 50th anniversary to Miami Hamilton. If you send me that email, I'll give you some points back on your exam. That's it. Bye.